I served 10 years in prison for Emily.
When I was 23, I saw Emily being bothered by her stepfather, Richard. I rushed to protect her and, in the struggle, Richard fell down the stairs and passed away. I was sentenced to 10 years in prison.
From 23 to 33, the best years of my life were spent behind bars. Emily and I married before I went in. She said,
Andrew, you ended up like this because of me. Don't worry, I won't let you down. I will wait for you, I promise.
I believed her. Her words kept me going during those dark and difficult days. I thought that as long as I endured these 10 years, we could be together and live a good life. But when I was released 10 years later, things were not as I had hoped. On the day of my release, Emily didn't come. Instead, she sent her assistant, Alex, to pick me up.
Ms. Emily has been very busy lately. She has a meeting today that she couldn't get out of, so she sent me to pick you up. She asked me to take you home first.
Alex took me to Emily's house, a luxurious villa on a hillside. The decorations were lavish, filled with many smart appliances I didn't even know how to use. Even though I hadn't seen the outside world for 10 years, I knew this villa must be worth a fortune. Standing in the vast house, I felt lost. I saw the disdain in Alex's eyes. 10 years, even furniture could change so much, let alone people. Panic surged in my heart.
Alex, please take me to Emily's company. I need to see her.
I put on a mask and sneaked into Emily's office, wanting to surprise her. But when I entered, I saw a scene that broke my heart.
Michael, what should I do? Andrew was released today, but I really don't know how to face him now.
He served 10 years in prison for you, but 10 years can change so much. Take it one step at a time, Emily. Don't blame yourself too much. It's normal for feelings to change over 10 years.
I watched as my wife confided in another man about the trouble I posed, and then was embraced by him. It turned out that during the 10 years I was in prison, another man had taken my place by Emily's side. And that man was my brother, Michael, whom I had entrusted to take care of Emily before I went in. My already shattered heart felt like it was struck by lightning, then slowly crumbled into dust, leaving me speechless with pain. All the memories turned into sharp blades, cutting my soul inch by inch.
Emily, how could you be so cruel to me?
I chose not to disturb them and quietly left Emily's company. Unwilling to return to her villa, I took a taxi to Grandma's house. My parents had passed away early, and besides Emily, Grandma was my only remaining family.
Grandma, I'm back.
But when I arrived at Grandma's house, the familiar yard was now desolate and empty. I anxiously ran to the neighbor's house to ask, but they wouldn't even open the door.
Are you that kid from the Chen family who got into trouble? Stay away from our house, or I'll call the police.
Mr. Johnson, I just want to ask where my grandma went. I'll leave right after.
Your grandma? With a grandson like you, she passed away 3 years ago. Go find her in the cemetery on the hill.
A buzzing sound filled my ears as I ran to the hill in disbelief, only to find Grandma's tombstone.
No, it can't be.
Grandma used to write to me every month. I suddenly remembered that it had been 3 years since she last visited me. She said her legs were bad and she could only write to me from then on. I foolishly believed her. It turned out she had written 3 years' worth of letters in advance, hiding her passing from me so I wouldn't know. Grandma wanted me to believe that someone was always waiting for me outside. The sky darkened, and a sudden clap of thunder was followed by a torrential downpour. Why did fate have to be so cruel to me? Why did I have to lose my loved one and my only family? I threw myself onto the tombstone, crying bitterly.
I'm sorry, Grandma. It's all my fault. I was unfilial. I didn't let you enjoy a single day of happiness, and I didn't even see you one last time.
I knelt before the tombstone, banging my head against the stone until blood flowed. Tears mixed with the blood on my forehead, only to be washed away by the rain, leaving nothing behind. After leaving the hill, I walked aimlessly down the street, feeling like a soulless shell. For the first time in 10 years, I walked freely on the bustling streets, feeling as if I had been transported to another world. A sense of confusion filled my heart.
Grandma is gone. Emily has someone else. Who needs me now? Who would wait for me? In this vast world, it seems there is no place for me anymore. This new world of 10 years later has become my desolate city.
The sky darkened, and a sudden clap of thunder was followed by a torrential downpour. Why did fate have to be so cruel to me? Why did I have to lose my loved one and my only family?
I'm sorry, Grandma. It's all my fault. I was unfilial. I didn't let you enjoy a single day of happiness, and I didn't even see you one last time.
I knelt before the tombstone, banging my head against the stone until blood flowed. Tears mixed with the blood on my forehead, only to be washed away by the rain, leaving nothing behind. After leaving the hill, I walked aimlessly down the street, feeling like a soulless shell. For the first time in 10 years, I walked freely on the bustling streets, feeling as if I had been transported to another world. A sense of confusion filled my heart.
Grandma was gone. Emily had someone else. Who needed me now? Who would wait for me? In this vast world, it seemed there was no place for me anymore.
Andrew's phone, the place he lived, everything belonged to Emily. He wanted to reduce his dependence on her, so he went out to interview for jobs. But because of his record, he was frequently rejected.
You're my husband, you deserve this position.
I wanted to start from the bottom, but Emily wouldn't hear of it.
Helpless, Andrew agreed to give it a try. But on the first day of work, he made a big mistake because he couldn't figure out the company's operating system. It was Michael who happened to pass by and helped him solve the problem.
That new manager Andrew must have connections. He doesn't know anything, yet he's a manager.
Keep your voice down. That's our boss's husband.
The boss's husband? No way. Our boss is so capable. How could she have such a partner? And I've never seen her husband. I thought her being married was just a rumor.
Andrew's nails dug deep into his palms, his chest felt like it was being crushed by a stone, making it hard to breathe.
That's because he was away for 10 years. He just got out recently.
What? The boss's husband has a past. What does she see in him? I think Michael is a much better match for her. They're a perfect pair.
Discussing the private lives of the higher-ups during work hours? Do you all want to lose your jobs?
Michael suddenly appeared behind Andrew, cutting off their conversation. They scattered immediately.
Andrew, don't listen to their nonsense.
Michael handed Andrew a cup of coffee.
You were the top of our class back then. You just need some time to adjust. It'll get better.
It's been 10 years. I've forgotten everything I learned in school.
Take it slow. I'm here for you, brother.
Andrew looked at Michael, feeling a chill in his heart. He had trusted him so much back then, asking him to take care of Emily while he was away. But his care had extended to the bedroom.
Let's find a place to sit. You can tell me about what happened over the years. I'm curious about what I've missed.
In a cafe, Michael recounted their experiences over the years. From starting a business together, overcoming challenges, to building the company to its current scale. As he spoke, Michael was full of enthusiasm, while Andrew felt increasingly bitter. This was Emily's 10 years without him.
In those 10 years, she and another man worked hard together, creating a successful business. Even I was moved by their shared experiences.
Andrew looked at Michael, the brother he once trusted the most, and barely recognized him. In college, Michael used to follow him around, copying his homework. Now, 10 years later, their roles had reversed. Michael had become a capable executive, while Andrew had been discarded by society and the workplace. He had nothing now, nothing to offer Emily, and he had to rely on her for everything. But Michael was the one who could truly stand by Emily's side and support her.
Are you saying Emily loves you now?
We're not young anymore. At this age, Emily needs someone like me, who can provide support and stability.
Andrew couldn't hold back any longer and punched Michael.
That's because it wasn't you who spent 10 years away, who lost your future. What right do you have to say that? If it weren't for those 10 years, I would be the one who matches her best.
Michael held his head, not fighting back.
I trusted you so much back then. I considered you my best friend. I asked you to take care of Emily, and this is how you did it?
I'm sorry, Andrew. We can compensate you. You can have as much money as you want. But you can't control people's hearts.
Andrew threw Michael to the ground.
Michael, not everything can be measured by money. How will you compensate for 10 years of my youth, for my grandma's passing?
I'll prove to you that Emily still has feelings for me.
He didn't respond. After a long silence, Michael spoke.
Andrew, let's make a bet. Let's see who Emily truly cares about now.
The sky darkened, and a sudden clap of thunder was followed by a torrential downpour.
Why? Why did fate have to be so cruel to me? Why did I have to lose my loved one and my only family?
John threw himself onto the tombstone, crying bitterly.
I'm sorry, Grandma. It's all my fault. I was unfilial. I didn't let you enjoy a single day of happiness. And I didn't even see you one last time.
He knelt before the tombstone, banging his head against the stone until blood flowed. Tears mixed with the blood on his forehead, only to be washed away by the rain, leaving nothing behind. After leaving the hill, John walked aimlessly down the street, feeling like a soulless shell. For the first time in 10 years, he walked freely on the bustling streets, feeling as if he had been transported to another world. A sense of confusion filled his heart.
Grandma was gone. Emily had someone else. Who needed me now? Who would wait for me? In this vast world, it seemed there was no place for me anymore. This new world of 10 years later had become my desolate city.
Unable to find another job, I spent my days idly in the villa, waiting for Emily to come back, feeling like a resentful spouse. This feeling terrified me. No matter what, I didn't want to become someone who lived by watching their partner's mood. That was my bottom line, my pride. So, I decided to let go. On Emily's birthday, I made a cake myself at the bakery. I turned off all the lights in the house and lit the candles on the cake.
I told you, I don't like sweets anymore.
Shoo, don't say anything yet. Look, doesn't today remind you of your 23rd birthday?
It was also a rainy day. The power went out in our rented house. Outside, there was thunder and lightning, and we lit candles on the cake and sang the birthday song together. 23 was such a good age. We were poor, but at least our hearts were together. I saw Emily's eyes redden a bit.
You're 33 now! Make a wish!
Emily clasped her hands together and closed her eyes. The scene before me gradually overlapped with that of 10 years ago. That day, 23-year-old Emily also closed her eyes devoutly and said seriously,
I hope Emily and Andrew will be together forever and ever.
It was a similar scene, but I knew that in 33-year-old Emily's wish, I was no longer included. My eyes probably reddened too. After she blew out the candles, I smiled and slowly spoke.
I haven't been able to celebrate your birthday or give you gifts these past 10 years. I haven't been a very competent husband. This is the last time I'll celebrate your birthday, so I'll give you a big gift.
I took out a divorce agreement. Emily's eyes were red, and she looked at me in shock.
You!
You don't need to say anything. Actually, I've seen everything between you and Michael. If we keep entangling like this, we'll just end up resenting each other. It's better to end it early.
She stared at me for a long time, the first time in half a year that she looked at me so seriously.
I'm sorry, but we really aren't from the same world anymore. This life, I owe you.
There's no point in saying this now.
Emily cried.
No matter what you think, I never thought about divorcing you or hurting you. I actually always loved you. It's just, these years have been too exhausting, and I wanted someone to rely on, and he just happened to be there.
I extended my finger to stop her from finishing.
Emily, when it comes to feelings, it all comes down to conscience. You say you're tired, but do you think I had it easy? Every sleepless night, every desperate day I wanted to end it all, I thought of you to get through it. But when I got out, I realized that every day I spent in prison missing you was exactly the time you and Michael grew closer. Do you know how much that hurt? I felt like a fool.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Sign it, and we'll go our separate ways.
Emily's tears fell drop by drop, but I no longer felt sad for her. I just quietly waited for her to sign the divorce agreement. Before I walked out of the villa door, Emily asked me a question.
Do you regret helping me that day?
My steps halted. I knew she was talking about Richard.
How long did he harass you?
Since I was 16, when my mom remarried him.
Then I don't regret it. If there's any regret, it's that I didn't hit him harder, so he wouldn't have suffered for so long.
After saying that, I walked out the door. Through the window, I heard heart-wrenching cries from inside. The day we went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get the divorce certificate, the weather was beautiful. Emily stood at the door, reluctant to go in.
Andrew, do we really have to do this? Can't we not get divorced? Can't we start over?
Although we've been married for 10 years, if you think about it, we haven't been a proper couple for even a day. Who are you putting on this act for now?
Emily's eyes reddened with grievance at my mocking tone.
Andrew, you never used to talk to me like this.
Because I couldn't let you go before, but now, I have.
Emily cried again. But this time, I no longer felt heartache for her tears. After getting the divorce certificate, I left without looking back. I went to the prison. Today was the day a friend of mine was being released.
Jonathan, it's good to see you free.
Andrew, brother, you're finally out of the misery. Actually, when we were inside, I wanted to hint to you that your wife had issues, but you were too stubborn.
The past is the past, let's not talk about it.
So, do you have any plans for the future?
With my criminal record, what company would dare to hire me now?
Then work with me, brother, let's start our own business.
I'm an engineering major, I know nothing about finance, and besides, you've been convicted of financial crimes. Can you still work in that field?
You're thinking too narrowly. Brother, haven't you heard? The best accountants and economists either have been in prison or are currently in prison. And I can't work in the field, but you can. You're so smart, I can teach you.
Following Jonathan's suggestion, we haphazardly started our entrepreneurial journey. We registered a company under my name, with Jonathan as my behind-the-scenes advisor. But even so, our company still lacked a legal representative.
Do you know anyone who could be our legal representative?
I could only think of one person, my junior, Samantha. She had always been grateful because I once saved her from drowning in our sophomore year. Even after I went to prison, she would often visit me, making her the only person I could still call a friend in this world.
I called Samantha, and to my surprise, she agreed without hesitation. With that, our small company was organized. That evening, Jonathan hosted a dinner for us, and we had some drinks.
Samantha, why did you agree to Andrew's call without hesitation? Aren't you afraid we might deceive you?
No, Andrew is a good person, I trust him.
What if I really deceive you?
In our sophomore year, you saved me, I haven't repaid you yet. So even if you deceive me, I accept it.
I was stunned, but Jonathan laughed heartily.
This girl is interesting, much more sincere than your ex-wife.
Unexpectedly, upon hearing this, Samantha's eyes lit up as she looked at me.
Andrew, you got divorced?
I did. Why are you so happy about it?
No reason, I'm just happy.
Jonathan, with his financial background and prison experience, had a keen and precise eye for projects. Under his guidance, our company quickly grew. But I didn't expect that Emily would somehow find out where I lived and started waiting outside my house every day.
Andrew, I was wrong. Can you give me a chance to make it up to you?
Miss Tang, we are already divorced. Please respect yourself. If I'm not mistaken, do I need to remind you that your current boyfriend is Michael? Or do you have a habit of infidelity, only liking to entangle with men who are not your boyfriend?
I had heard that Emily and Michael were already engaged, but for some reason, they still hadn't gotten their marriage certificate. Emily's face turned pale and then read at my words, shaking her head sadly.
It's not like that, Andrew. It's not like that. It's just that recently, I keep thinking about the times we were together. I realized that I still can't let you go.
Belated affection is worthless. What you're doing now is really pointless.
After saying this, I walked away. But even after scolding her twice, Emily still stubbornly waited outside my house, so I simply ignored her. One day, Samantha came to see me and unexpectedly encountered Emily outside.
Ex-wife, what are you doing at my boyfriend's house?
Hearing her deliberately emphasize my boyfriend, I looked at Samantha in surprise. Emily's eyes immediately reddened at her words.
Andrew, is it true? Do you already have a girlfriend?
Do you doubt my relationship with my boyfriend?
Samantha clung to my arm and pinched it. I quickly caught on.
Yes, I have a girlfriend now. Please don't bother me anymore. My girlfriend will be unhappy.
Emily left, heartbroken. After entering the house, Samantha proudly looked at me like a little rooster.
How did I do?
Yes, thanks to you today.
Have you ever thought about really making me your girlfriend?
I was stunned, my hand dropping as I looked at her passionate gaze, feeling a bit at a loss. I was silent for a long time, but finally spoke sincerely.
You're great, but I'm not ready to start a new relationship.
Samantha pouted, looking a bit disappointed, but then she seriously looked at me.
Then promise me, when you're ready, consider me first, okay? Don't worry, I will never let you down.
When Samantha said never let you down, I admit, my heart skipped a beat. The sky darkened, and a sudden clap of thunder was followed by a torrential downpour.
Why did fate have to be so cruel to me? Why did I have to lose my loved one and my only family?
Andrew threw himself onto the tombstone, crying bitterly.
I'm sorry, Grandma. It's all my fault. I was unfilial. I didn't let you enjoy a single day of happiness, and I didn't even see you one last time.
He knelt before the tombstone, banging his head against the stone until blood flowed. Tears mixed with the blood on his forehead, only to be washed away by the rain, leaving nothing behind. After leaving the hill, Andrew walked aimlessly down the street, feeling like a soulless shell. For the first time in 10 years, he walked freely on the bustling streets, feeling as if he had been transported to another world. A sense of confusion filled his heart.
Grandma was gone, Emily had someone else. Who needed me now? Who would wait for me? In this vast world, it seemed there was no place for me anymore. This new world of 10 years later had become my desolate city.
Emily came to see Andrew again.
Andrew, I've broken up with Michael.
What does that have to do with me?
She suddenly grabbed his sleeve, her emotions flaring up.
Are you still mad at me? I was wrong, I really was. I shouldn't have been with Michael while you were away. I regret it now. Can you give me another chance?
Andrew looked at her coldly.
Are you coming back to me because you see no hope with him?
No, Andrew. I've just realized that Michael isn't someone I can rely on. As soon as something happened, he tried to push all the blame onto me.
Emily looked haggard, her eyes red, no longer the elegant and refined woman she once was.
Only you treated me the best. But I see it now. Andrew, please give me a chance. Let's start over. I promise I won't fall for anyone else again. Help me, please. I don't want to be detained. I don't want to be detained.
Andrew looked at her, the woman he once loved deeply, and suddenly felt he didn't recognize her anymore. He held back, but in the end, couldn't restrain himself and slapped her. Emily was stunned, sitting on the ground, staring at him blankly.
Your current situation is because you realized Michael wouldn't foolishly take all the blame and be detained for you, isn't it? Even now, are you still fantasizing that I have lingering feelings for you and would take the blame? Don't be naive, Emily. We're long over. We ended the day you betrayed me.
Andrew didn't want to look at her any longer and walked away. While Emily and Michael were busy trying to shirk responsibility, Andrew married Samantha. Back then, Emily and he had just gotten their marriage certificate before he went away, and they never had a wedding. So even though it was his second marriage, it was technically his first wedding. He invited Jonathan to be their officiant. At the wedding, Andrew watched Samantha walk towards him in her white dress. Everything was so beautiful, but halfway through the ceremony, an uninvited guest appeared. She held a notebook, frantically rushing down the aisle.
Andrew, look at me. I was wrong, I really was. Don't abandon me.
It was Emily. She held up the notebook, crying out to him stubbornly.
I just found out how much you suffered. You must have resented me all those years, right? I know now. Can we start over?
That was the diary Andrew had left in the villa, written during his 10 years away. Every page was filled with his longing for her. He had once hoped Emily would see the diary and have a change of heart. But she never cared enough to learn anything about him, even though he had left it in the master bedroom closet. Emily never found it. Now, it was too late to say anything. Andrew ignored her and called security to take her away. As she was dragged away, she kept crying out.
Andrew, don't abandon me.
Andrew's wedding with Samantha continued smoothly, unaffected. They exchanged vows of eternal fidelity in front of the priest. From that day on, they would walk through every day together. Emily and Michael were both sentenced for financial crimes. The two people who had betrayed Andrew were now detained, proving that karma always comes around. His company grew more successful, and 2 years later, he welcomed his first child. During a spring outing, Andrew took his family to visit Grandma's grave on the hillside. Grandma passed away early, living a hard life without enjoying a single day of his success. In his heart, he felt he owed no one, except Grandma. He cleared the grass around her grave and talked to her for a long time.
Grandma, I have the family and loved ones I had always dreamed of, and I am no longer a lonely soul with nowhere to go. If you can see from above, you can rest assured now.